Balikan ko po yung tanong ko yung kanina po, in the context of disasters, no? Sa loob po ng evacuation centers, can you describe some protocols, prevention protocols based on the safeguarding policy manual? Dun sa specific context po na yan.
Oo. Laging nangyayari yan. Kasi di ba, in an evacuation center, sabi natin, very open yan eh. Yung bagay, yung space mo for privacy nawawala. Open yon. Kaya nga, with our coordination with LGU, no? So, sabi nga natin, we ensure na sana merong mga spaces baga. Kaya nga, if you notice, may mga evacuation na sinasabi natin modular tent na ngayon para really to prevent yung possible case ng mga abuses. So, yun, isa yun. We are coordinating and collaborating with the LGU. And then, when we do our assessment, meron kaming assessment after the certain crisis or certain emergency. When we had this, at nakita namin na merong, nawawala na yung privacy ng kada isa. Which happens nung panahon ng Karina. Ito lang yung flooding natin, nang pumunta kami sa ibang evacuation center. Nakaano lang yan, wala na yung privacy. So, we do feedback. We did feedbacking yan doon sa LGU. And it's good naman, ito yung mga barangay, they did something, no? Para naman ma-avoid yung mga ganong possible abuses. So, it's good na yung ating local LGU, the government, is also very aware na about this safeguarding, lalo na sa protection doon sa mga kabataan. So, aware naman sila. Ang ano lang siguro is that we need to push more. And it's not only the LGU, but also among ourselves din sa mga advocates natin. So, we need push pa, marami pa tayong gagawin.
Ano yung mga usual na mga protection na, let's say, in the shelters or the disaster?
Yes. Yung mga usual na mga nangyayari. Yeah. Yung sabi na natin, di ba, if you are a donor o ikaw yung nagpo-provide, you have that power. No? You have the power to select. You have the power to not to select. You have the power to prioritize kung sino ang gustong ibibigyan at kung sino hindi bibigyan. So yun, you have the power. So i-ensure namin na yung power na yun ay hindi nagagamit sa negative. So yung abuse of power is yan ang ina-avoid namin. Kasi later on, magkakaroon niya ng sexual exploitation
okay.
Diba? Sige, bibigyan kita ng bahay, pero you need to have this with me, magkakaroon tayo ng ganito. So, yun ang ina-avoid natin, yung mga ganong abuses. So, yung power ng isang staff or ng isang volunteer is really important. So, kaya nga, balikan ulit ho namin yung Code of Conduct. Ano ba yung nakalagay sa Code of Conduct? Kung ano yung nakalagay sa Code of Conduct, then, yun ang kung, if you, meron kayong ginawa na hindi kaakibat doon sa Code of Conduct, then, yan po ang babalikan namin sa kanya.
So, balik lang po muna tayo dun sa manual lang po muna, no? So, Ma'am Jeannie, baka pwede nyo pong i-summarize yung coverage ng safeguarding manual. I'm wondering po kasi if the online threats, particularly the online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, or OSAIC, is captured in the safeguarding policy manual of Caritas.
Thank you for bringing that up, Kuya Pao. Considering the high incidence of OSAIC, or online sexual abuse and exploitation of children in our country today, how is our church responding to this? I'm very interested to know more about that.
Okay, yung safeguarding manual natin, actually, hindi lang siya basta-basta na, a safeguarding manual, yan Ang dami may dami siyang mga sub-policies, no? Anong nandun? Una-una, may mga definition muna kami of terms, of course, para same page tayo. But there are also other policies there na nakalagay yung whistleblowing policy. Nandun din yung anti-harassment. Nandun din yung how to do the reporting. Nandun din ang church declaration. And this church declaration, I'm not sure, Father, if you're familiar with it. Kasi lahat ng pari, no? Lahat ng pari sa mga parish and the diocese, they need to sign that. Tapos yung church declaration na yan na form, ay ang magsasign dyan yung bishop. Na ito, si pari na ito, ay wala siyang case on any safeguarding. Or safeguarding cases. No? So yun, ay binibigay sa amin, and then kasi yan, ay binibigay ko yan sa Rome. So, as of, kailan ba? 2 years or 3 years ago, o pre-pandemic, nanghingi ako ng mga ganyan. Pero I think, siguro mga 30% lang ang nakapag-submit sa akin of all the dioceses natin, na 85 dioceses. So, as of now, continue pa rin kami. Kaya nga, that's also the reason na we keep on advocating pa rin na kung sino sa diocese ang nakatanggap ng manual, please, no, just disseminate it or replicate this to the parish level. Kasi lahat dapat ng mga kaparian natin ay pipirma doon. So, nandun, there's a template, even the reporting template, mga sample na reporting template natin, na pwede nilang gamitin, and how to do feedbacking or to do the complaints. Meron din po doon sa manual natin. So, marami ho siya. Including na rin siguro, Father, ando na rin na, ano ba yung best way to do our feedback? Ano ba yung dapat gagawin? So, yan po yung ating laman doon sa ating safeguarding
Follow
manual.
up lang po. Kasama po ba din yung online sexual abuse and exploitation?
Yes, oo. Although hindi siya naka-reiterate na this is only for the online. Ang nakalagay doon is that as a staff or if as the stakeholder. Kasi when you say stakeholder, that includes yung mga contractor natin. That includes yung mga may hinire tayo na mga, halimbawa, mga evaluators or audit, no? Mga hinahire natin, kasama din yan sa safeguarding policy natin. Kasama dapat sila. So yun ay nakalagay na if we're going to do that, the staff, the volunteers, or anyone who's working with the Caritas, Caritas, not only Caritas Philippines, but also with the other Caritas network, ay dapat online and offline, no? Nakalagay doon, online and offline, yung kanilang behavior, no, ay hindi dapat, no, dapat naangkop doon sa anong nakalagay sa safeguarding natin. So, nakalagay is online and offline. So, I think, yes, nakasama yan doon. Oo, kasama siya.
That's great. Thank you for bringing that up, Kuya Pao. Kasi, Jeannie, considering the high incidence of OSAE cases in the Philippines today, talagang we really need everyone on board. And, di ba nga nabanggit ko kanina, napaka-importante ng role ng simbahan, ng church. So, my question, from your perspective, from Caritas Philippines perspective, how are our churches responding to the OSAIC issue today?
Oo, wow, ang hirap nang isagutin yung tanong. Oo, kasi considering na una-una, no, I am not representing yung the whole CBCP talaga, no? Kasi this one is, I'm looking into the Caritas na ano natin sa network. But really, it's always a challenge. Sabi nga natin, little steps. Una-una, through coordination with you. Oo, kasi this is really something new to us kasi this is online. Oo, so yun ang medyo challenge sa amin kasi even in our partner organization na meron tayong protection cluster with the other organization, ganun pa rin sila, no? Yung online, yun pa ang medyo hindi masyado na-touch. It's really more on the community level. Ganon. So, with your assistance, of course, with your support, I think we can do more. Yun ang aming ano lang sa inyo.
Siguro in connection to that, kasi sa work halimbawa namin sa IJM, nakita namin yung value ng reporting sa community level. At syempre yung mga simbahan, di ba, nasa community level, sila yung accessible sa ating mga members of the community. Meron bang way dun sa safeguarding manual or the current protection policies that you are implementing? Are there mechanisms there that encourage reporting within that space?
Yes. Meron kaming tinatawag na feedback and complaints handling mechanism. It's also part of the manual. Ang nilalagay namin doon is that in case that you have this kind of lumapit sa inyo, no, anong gagawin nyo? So, meron doon kami na parang steps. How are you going to do it? So, may steps yan dyan. The challenge is that, lagi ako nagsasabi ng challenge, kasi really up to now, marami pa talagang challenges sa safeguarding natin. The challenge is, how are we going to, yes, it's good in writing, but, how if we're going to implement it on the ground. Kasi hindi lahat ng pagkakataon nandun si Caritas Philippines to monitor everything. So, we really rely then doon sa mga dioceses natin. And that's the reason while we keep on doing capacity strengthening. Nandoon lagi yung training, nandoon yung orientation. And that's also na, even in our humanitarian aid training, we incorporate or integrate ito yung safeguarding. Kasi it's not only for, although na separate program talaga siya, pero sabi nga natin, little by little, ay nag-uumpisa na rin tayo on the safeguarding ng mga different initiatives. That's why in Caritas Philippines, meron talagang, as a point person doon sa safeguarding, it's good na in-embed namin ito sa humanitarian kasi this is where we directly connect doon sa mga community natin. Kasi we are the one who's always at the community eh. Ganun ang nakalagay.
Curious din ako, Jeannie, aside from the safeguard policy and mga napag-usapan nating mga engagement ng Caritas Philippines, meron pa ba kayong mga ibang programa or projects, even in the recent years, na focus sa protecting the youth or raising awareness on cyber security and cyber threats, or focus even on OSAEC specifically?
I cannot say na talagang focus lang siya for the online.
Okay.
Kasi even before, meron na talagang sinasabi kaming program na protection mainstreaming.
Sure.
So, sa protection mainstreaming naman, again, ito parang safe and dignified programming na tinatawag nila. So, i-ensuring lang na merong doon safety access, ensuring na inclusivity, na kahit tayo ay nasa Caritas, Catholic, pero when we do our response or yung services natin, ay hindi kami na, sa Katoliko lang to. No. It's always nandun ang inclusivity. And of course, nandun din ang, let's look at the vulnerable adults, vulnerable children. So yun, yes, not directly na, ito ay, they are online cyber bullying or harm, but it's more on the generalities.
Pero pumapasok din yung mga online
din
threats
siya.
dyan.
Yes, pumapasok din.
Parang I want to add also, yung this Saturday I'll go to UP Los Baños. And they're very interested in having like connection of faith and mental illness. Ang tingin ko, part of the mental health would be how do we address the trauma, no? The trauma of this itong ating mga sexual abuse or even online sexual exploitation. So I think there is a lot of connection of this faith and parang restoring the health of our young people and families also.
Yes.
So in a sense, yung corruption that we talk about is like, di ba, parang a lot of splitting. So maybe this has to be addressed also. Ibang klaseng corruption ito na parang almost like the corruption of the soul in a way, no? But how to heal in a way towards integrity, no? And working together, parang tawag ko ay solidarity, no? With different sectors of society.
Yes, Father, I really agree. Kasi alam ko, may mga ibang grupo na mga faith-based din na yun ang isa sa mga nila, yung mga serbisyo na binibigay nila. I cannot say names, kasi, pero mga sakwentuhan kasi namin sa mga faith-based, may mga ganong grupo na looking into the strengthening of the faith in connection doon sa mga may mga ganito and what happened to them. No? May mga ganun po na grupo tayo. Lalo na doon sa mga faith-based, even some of them, mga pari din, ang nagbibigay ng mga counseling and even do the lecturing as well.
Yes.
Oo. Ang galing. Napaka-importante kasi nung aspeto na yon din ng ating efforts to support and address OSAEC. Pero syempre, of course, abuse and exploitation in general. Pero kasi sa OSAEC specifically, parang napaka-importante ng suporta. Kasi yung mga survivors nun, they don't experience just any trauma, but complex trauma yung kanilang nararanasan. And considering na marami sa ating mga survivors ay malapit din sa simbahan, they're very faith-centered, talagang maganda kung nagkakaroon ng kumbaga harmonization, yung connection nga na sinasabi mo, Father, between faith and yung mental healing ng mga survivors.
Sure.
Nako, Ma'am Jeannie, mukhang hindi matatapos yung usapan natin ngayon. Mukhang kailangan ito ng part 2. Tama ba, Attorney Praise?
Yes, Kuya Pao. Mukhang maraming napakaganda pang pag-usapan sa aspeto ng simbahan, ng faith, and syempre how we address cyber threats, lalo na sa ating mga kabataan and vulnerable adults. Pero for now, Jeannie, meron ka bang mensahe sa ating mga ka-chatters bilang representative ng Caritas Philippines?
Okay, so siguro ang masasabi ko lang, ang safeguarding po ay it's not an easy job. Hindi ito isang activity lang na tapos ka agad. We all need a helping hands here. So, we all need a helping hand. Sa mga advocates nito, please, let's, kumbaga, kung bolt is 5 pa, let's bolt in together. Kasi ito ay sama-sama natin to build up awareness, to strengthen the awareness tungkol dito sa safeguarding natin, especially doon sa online sexual exploitation and abuse natin.
Great. Maraming salamat, Jeannie. We really appreciate yung mga insights mo at ang dami kong takeaways, ang dami kong natutunan, lalo tungkol sa mga initiatives ng Caritas Philippines. Di ba, Kuya Pao?
Tama! May dadagdag pa po ba kayo, Father?
Ang parang nakikita ko, where there's a lot of distraction, parang gano'n. Like sin, sabihin natin, itong ating mga abuse, gano'n, and exploitation. Parang grace abounds. Yan. Parang gaano man yung parang itong pang-abuso, parang meron pa rin espiritu ng pag-aalaga na mag-iingat sa mga pamilya, mga bata, gano'n. So, mukhang nakakataba na yun ng puso. Although, kailangan din ng vigilance, di ba?
Tama.
Yun ang aking nakikita. Parang saan naggagaling yun? Parang kagaya nung panahon ng nakarang administrasyon, ang daming patay, parang gano'n. Mga pinapatay yung mga nagdodroga, mga ganyan. Pero, ang dami ding sumulpot na mga community-based drug rehab na nag-aalaga, gano'n. So parang meron ding parang, teka lang, hindi to dapat ganito, yan. May ibang paraan ng paghilom. O, parang kagaya din siguro ito ng ating mga sexual abuse and online sexual exploitation. Parang merong usbong pa rin ng pag-aalaga na sana maibalik. At pag-iingat.
Tama. Salamat. Salamat ulit, Jeannie, ha? O siya, break muna tayo. Kami ay magbabalik dito sa Cyber Chat Season 3.